Today we're talking about pre-reading skills for your preschooler. So this would be in the area of anywhere from 2, 2.5 to 6. So these are pre-reading skills that we're teaching, and in Montessori there's 3 stages. You have pre-reading, then you have pink material, which teaches the 2nd stage, and then you have blue material that teaches you the 3rd stage. So today we're talking about the pre-reading stage. So on the shelf, my shelf is not looking like what you would have in your environment, because I have multiple choices of the same thing to demonstrate today. So you would pick one of the choices and have it on the shelf. And you wouldn't necessarily have everything out. If you're just starting, you would have a few things out, and then grow the material on your shelf. If you have multiple children learning, if you have 2 or 3 kids, say a 2-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 5-year-old, then you're going to have a lot of room on the shelf to keep a variety of material so that all stages are challenged. And so I'm going to show you the full shelf, like if you were in a Montessori preschool, that you would have all the options, because you have such a blend of children. You have to have something to challenge all of them. And so basically my shelves look a little busy because again, I'm going to show you multiple options, and then you would just have one on the shelf. So we're going to start as in reading. It goes top to bottom and left to right. So we're going to progress through the first shelf and then come down to the second and progress to the right with the 2nd shelf, then come to the lower shelf and progress. However, yours does not need to look just like mine. It just needs to have the progression. So you might have a shorter shelf, you might have longer shelves. I don't know, but you don't have to have all the material out if you just have 1 or 2 children. You just need to have the next step or 2 steps to challenge them. So I will go through the material, and then you can always ask questions. So this first basket here, it has flashcards for words. So what you're doing is growing vocabulary. This is sight words. This one's shapes and colors. So, and again, you wouldn't put them all out. You're looking to grow vocabulary, starting with the written word and cards. And so you would just maybe put one out for that week. And when you go through all of them and they learn, you bring out another choice and replace it in the basket. Here's some more options. So it's pictures with the word, and starting with lowercase. That's what you're looking for, is lowercase. All right, so these you would just put one option. I'm showing you several, one option. The next basket would be books, where you're teaching the ABCs. And so it would have vocabulary, pictures with the word is what you're looking for, and lowercase. Okay, it can show both the upper and lowercase alphabet symbols, but you're growing vocabulary and using lowercase. This is a sensorial tactile book, animals and babies, and how they feel, how they sound, growing vocabulary. The next one would be matching cards. So here I went to the dollar store and I got 2 decks of cards. You do not have to put all cards out. Put maybe half the cards and rotate them out. And then I've got these, which are basically, they come with, they're matching they have these little cards. I'll show you. And cheap. I mean, I think they were all of $1. So basically they come, this is a brand new set, so I haven't broke them in, and they're kind of stuck in the container. However, basically, here we go. So they come kind of in a block, and you're going to pop them out, and there's 2 cards matching, so they would be upside down, and then you would do matching game, like the memory game with them. So I have animals, and then this is like buildings or structures, statues. So you would only put, you know, these are things to rotate out. But if they were $1 each, you're going to have like a lot of options. Okay, then here, this is opposites. So white and black, open and closed. So this is a new set of cards that I got. Hard and soft. So you're looking for opposites. And then here's a book, so you can start with the book, and then one day you rotate out the cards. But you would just take them out of the box and put them in the container. So big and small, short and tall. So you could start with a book, like I said, and then move into the cards. But that is the next step in the progression of pre-reading, is opposites. I have this flip-flop alphabet blocks I found at a secondhand store. So I chose to put it in the environment because as you're going through the material and you are starting to teach some of the alphabet, the symbols, you can point to it and allow them to maybe flip it over because it has a picture of something on the other side. So they can progress through that, kind of like the same principle of the calendar days count down to Christmas. But they can do the letter that you're teaching that day and be able to flip it over and see what the picture is and talk about it. So the next is what's called the metal insets. Mine are actually plastic because I went the cheap route, and it's okay. It still teaches the same thing. But, you know, if you're more in a commercial environment where you have, you know, hundreds of kids over years and years, I would probably invest in the metal, but these are fine. They have a little handle on them. So the child uses both of these, and I gave a lesson on this. I have a video on the metal insets already, so you can watch that. But basically, put maybe 3 shapes in the environment. And then what they do is there's a progression of the first, second, and third shape book. And so basically they will trace and make their own booklet. It's like they're learning vocabulary, learning their geometric shapes. And they start a booklet. And I think when you get to 5 shapes, then you move on to booklet number 2 and staple them together. And then, so you just collect it, you know, they put their name on the back side and collect them. And when they have enough, you create a booklet. Then the third phase is where they use the inset and the frame, and they make different shapes and stuff. So I have a video on that you can watch. It's called Metal Insets. And then in the environment, you have the paper, and you have colored pencils for them to choose from. And then these are their examples. And what they would do is they would take a tray, they would select the shape and a pencil and a paper to do their work with. So you have that in the environment next. Okay, so metal insets. And then you come down here, and the next phase is called tensing or sequencing. So here, sequence cards, and I have a rubber band there, but basically you get it. It goes from the beginning, the next stage, and the next stage. Tensing, for example, she got a glass of orange juice, she drank the orange juice, and now it's all gone. So tensing and sequencing, those are a couple of options. To give you an example, these can be expensive. This was $20. I don't know why they're so expensive. I got this secondhand for a couple of dollars. So, you know, before your child's ready for it, start looking if you want to buy secondhand and actually educate your child on a very low budget. It can be done. Next, you're going to have, they're called Sandpaper Letters. I don't have those because I decided to do the cheap route. So, Sandpaper Letters, basically what you're looking for is something, a tactile experience, and these are actually carved out. So I chose to do these because they actually do the same representation, but it's carved out, and you can show them how to trace it, and they have a tactile experience. That's the principle of the Sandpaper Letters. I do have the sandpaper numbers, but I went with, because the alphabet is so large, it can be pricey, and these have a lot of longevity. So if you want to actually make your own Sandpaper Letters, get a deck of these alphabet cards. They have a picture on the back, and all you have to do is put glue here, sprinkle the sand, just sand from Home Depot or Walmart or wherever, just a handful of sand, and you can do all of these and create your own Sandpaper Letters. It's not hard. And what's awesome is this deck of cards came with the uppercase and lowercase, and then the word starts with the lowercase, has a beautiful colored picture. I mean, they're cartoony, but it's a great set of cards because you get both uppercase and lowercase. You start with these. Just put some glue and some sandpaper on there. It's not hard. You don't have to go the expensive route. And then, so you would put, obviously not all of this, you would put a few letters out. So just start with the first letter group, which is M, A, P, and T. First letter group, it has a vowel, and then it has other letters, consonants. So you would maybe just get a basket with these in it. If you have multiple children and they're in different stages, you have to put the whole thing out. So this could be in a basket after you make them sandpaper and put them as an option and rotate them out. This is another option. These are the books. There's one for each letter. So it has the lowercase on one side and the uppercase on the other side. And if you wanted to make them sandpaper, you could. And it has pictures with the lowercase word inside. So they're beginning reading books where they have only put one word on there. And it has a book for every letter in the alphabet. The next stage is called the sound basket or sound box. And I put the letters that are in there that have the sounds of these letters in here. And it's a collection over a long time for parents. But if you get like a set of food, there's a lot of sounds in there. Or you can put pictures. But it's good to have a 3D object for each sound. And then after they learn the first set of letters, they can read and write words. Matt, Pat, Tap, At, and Pam from the first 4 letters. So you would say, meat. And then have them trace the letter, and I'll give a demonstration video. All right, so sound basket, and what you could do is just rotate them out, or if you have a couple of children in different groups, put a couple of them out. Next is rhyming. So cat and hat. These are a little bit cartoony. I like to stick with the realistic picture. So if this is all you have, it will work. And if you can get realistic pictures, that's the first choice. But the most important is, I want you to notice, is it has to have the lowercase letters. This other one has uppercase. So skip it all together and get the one with lowercase, because then your child can read it. So rhyming. Okay? And then other options that you can get as well would be alphabet. Let's see here. Rhyming. It could be animals and their homes. It could be feeling cards. It can be adult animals with their babies. Different type of vocabulary growing, but at this point we're going to put rhyming. And then alphabet books. So there's interactive books that you can find where you open it up and it shows the letter apple. This is how you write apple. So really good interactive book. I have a couple of those. And this one is a better one. It's made by Slide and Learn Hinkler Books. Slide and Learn. Realistic pictures. Quality book. It's a thick book. Another option that I found, and it's made by Melissa and Doug, is this book. It's really, really thick, but it has these magnetic pictures and the alphabet. It's magnetic, but it's a book. You could take it apart and just use the actual page where you're teaching, or you can leave it all together. It's up to you. But it has the upper and lower case, and it has a picture word, and when you remove it, it has the lowercase word. So really fun, different. I got the second hand, and unfortunately the E is missing, but everything else is still there. So that's good material for this section. You can also use cards, as long as it shows upper and lower case, has a realistic picture. And then on the other side, it just has these, if you want to focus on the tracing with their fingers. All right. This one, they stay connected. This is good for travel, keeping in your bag, and when you have an hour at the doctor's office or wherever you have to wait, you can do this with your child. The only thing, this starts with the uppercase. I really just don't understand it, but somehow they want to jump to the uppercase. So, but you can sit there and teach vocabulary, and the child can trace, the upper and lower case, but unfortunately it's not an early reader because some of the letters they won't recognize when it's uppercase. But it's still good for travel and still functioning. The next phase would be rhyming. So rhyming words. Okay, so you have snail and pail, tree and three, hand and band, but it's like two puzzle pieces that they have to figure it out. You don't have to put them all out at once. When this is a new concept, you can just start with 5 groups and then add to it. or rotate them out. All right? And then down here, okay, down here, the beginning writing, you want to start with something that is easy to self-correct. And that would be sand. This is called a sand tray. It could be in a square, it could be in a rectangle, it could be in a circle. It doesn't matter as long as the tray is a little deep to keep the sand from falling out. So when the child is able to handle material, treat it with care, they have coordination and motor skills built in, developed, they can start to write in the sand. And if they get it wrong, they can just erase it. You know, S. And then they erase it. They can shake it. I. So a sand tray is something, I lived in Hawaii 14 years and I brought the sand all the way to Texas, so it's special sand to me. You can use colored sand and rotate that out to keep it fun, but that's really fun. So when you teach a new letter, you can use the sand tray as the first step. And the second step would be, so it would be, actually, you want to look for a chalkboard. So I have a chalkboard here, and then you can supply some chalk and an eraser. So if we're starting with the letter M, you would teach them, and you know, if they get it wrong, it's self-correcting. They take an eraser and wipe it off. So if you have a small chalkboard that they can use at a table, that's preferable. When you work with language material, it's better if it's a small, not a big puzzle or something, but small, to work in a sitting environment. T. M. A. P. T. And when you're teaching the letters and how to write them, either watch a video of mine or watch videos of other people on the correct way to teach them how to write it. Because when you teach them writing the symbol, you want to make sure you're doing that correct. So you would go from sand to chalk, and then you can go to a whiteboard. And there's a couple of ways of doing this. A whiteboard that's big, like this one, because it's something I already had, being a life coach. And then this one, they could sit at the table and do it because it's small. You can put it on a tray with a whiteboard marker and they carry it to the table to work on. What's cool about this one is on the other side it has the lines, so that's like the next phase. Then I found this at the dollar store. Comes with the pen and everything. Draw a picture. Well, you can draw your letters. It has games on the other side, but this totally works. Has a little handle for a whole $1. So those are some options. Just make sure you allow self-correction. You have the pen, and then I put an old sock that's mismatched to wipe it off. That's not good, so I need to self-correct. Like that. And then always teach them to leave it for the next person where they wiped it off and put the pen up. So, options for writing. Again, it would be sand, chalk, and then whiteboard. And then after that, you would move to paper and then lined paper. Okay, so that's that next step. After that is what we call the movable alphabet. You have a large movable alphabet and you have a small. I actually have a movable alphabet. It's Montessori material, and I just ordered it, so I have not even unwrapped the letters. But it's a movable alphabet, and it has multiples of them in there. And I bought this. It's a little bit of an off-brand, but it's wonderful. And if you look, you wonder why are some red and some blue. Okay, these are vowels. And these are actually the letter I, so you can't see it, but those are blue as well. They come with the dots not connected, which is a little bit of a bummer, right? But you get the picture of some challenges with some material. I like when the dots connected in some way. But anyway, the blue are the vowels. These are actually, that's an N and that's a U, but they're upside down. So that's that. I'm going to show you on what I homemade, actually. So I found this container. I think it was some sort of display case for bells or thimbles or something. Who knows? And I just found those cheap plastic letters that you can get in a bucket. And they can be magnetic or not magnetic. But you can get uppercase and lowercase and put both in there, and just teach the lowercase first. And well, you don't need uppercase if your child's not there yet, but if you have multiple children, you can put them in there and just teach lowercase first and then uppercase after that. So this was the cheaper option that I was putting together, and then I decided to buy the actual movable alphabet because I found it at a reasonable price. So you don't have to break the bank, just teach them to take care of the material. Then I had some leftover openings, and I put 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I put 8 and 9 in there, and then you make 10 with 1 and 0. So this is the symbols, like you have division and equal. I put those in that category there. So it had just the right amount of openings. So there's all kinds of ways to do it on a shoestring. These are wooden cutout letters that I found secondhand. Perhaps it came that way, or maybe it was in a puzzle where they lost, the frame to the puzzle, but I thought those were great. These are uppercase letters that I haven't put in there yet. And then this was a bunch of uppercase red letters that it was so great, but they're all uppercase. There's no lowercase in that group that I found. So, these are lowercase and those are uppercase. You can get wood or plastic, but you don't have to break the bank. But if you're going to be doing this with multiple children, it might be good to invest in some really good material that's pleasing to the eye, that, is all together in one place and you don't have to go hunt for it. It depends. If your child's already there and you need it today, go buy it. If you plan ahead, you can actually find things cheaper as you look around. So movable alphabet, large first, small next, uppercase first, lowercase first, uppercase second. Okay? And then over there are just books that don't put them all out, put a few out. One of the books I wanted to share was this one, which I absolutely love, and I got it secondhand. And it's a wipe-off book, which is fabulous. It has real pictures. It shows upper and lowercase up here, has a handle, but they have the ability, the child can trace with the finger and then trace with a whiteboard marker and just wipe it off. And you can use it again and again and again. And it's thick board, a board book. So anyway, fabulous. This is made by Pretty Books, P-R-I-D-D-Y Books. Kind of has something on the back there, but anyway, so that is a really good book for teaching how to write letters. I hope that was helpful in seeing the pre-reading material and how to put it together in your home environment. Doesn't have to be all, great Montessori materials. You can find them at the dollar store, at Walmart, at, secondhand stores. All you got to do is network also with other parents doing this, and you can rotate materials. If their child outgrows materials and your child's needing them, just seriously rotate materials, share, grow a network. You don't have to be a homeschool parent. This is something you can do on the weekends, after work, but it's available and your child can go work with it anytime. I hope that helps. Again, this was pre-reading material for children that are, say, 2.5 to about 3 years old. And when they're done with this, they would go then to the pink material. Thank you for listening.